Okay. So we are going to start with our slides. After that, we are having a task which is given one of our alumni during his interview process. So hopefully we will have no, errors. But if we have any errors, it's good also, because we are, try to, we are trying to, solve our problems, and to prove that ChatGPT is not only the very reliable source for us, because as a DevOps engineer, we have also troubleshooting, practices. So with doing some troubleshooting, ChatGPT will be our assistant, not only our resource. So feel free to ask, as I said, any question. Let me open my chat up here. Okay, guys. So let me start with the meaning of ChatGPT. So do you know what is the ChatGPT means as a literally meaning? You can be write in the chat, or I can be moving on. So ChatGPT, okay. So you don't need to raise hand, guys. You just type your question to chat so that I can be following there. So ChatGPT technically means chat generative pre-training transformer. It is text-based, and you are going to write everything you want from the command line, which we are going to see a couple of minutes later. After that, it's going to show you some prompt, which are very beneficial, and you can be, using ChatGPT as a assistant for use to write some files. So as a DevOps engineers, we are always using some files, right? For example, in Terraform, we have some .tf extension files so that we can create our resources. In Kubernetes, we have some manifest files. In Ansible, we have playbooks. In Jenkins, we have Jenkins files, so etc. So with it's sometimes very hard to write this kind of things, because their syntax couldn't be memorized by most of us, and we are always in old days we were always checking the some sites like Stack Overflow, and maybe we can be just writing everything into just Google, so that we are trying to jiggling with the solution itself. But after the OpenAI, they have introduced ChatGPT, especially at the beginning of the 2020. People are in the IT market, everybody is using. Of course, the developers are using it more frequently than us, but it is going to help us to automate the process itself. So let's begin with the slides. Okay. Here, sorry guys. So OpenAI, it's a company, and it's an artificial intelligence company. It's they are always introducing their new product, like Dell-I, ChatGPT 4. So Sam Altman, and he is the CEO of it. And you are seeing some familiar face here, which are the shareholder for OpenAI. So this is our main topic, by the way. So ChatGPT is a large language model. It is based on the transforming our CLI commands and some prompts to that output that we want in every kind of format. For example, we can be wanting some extra format like Kubernetes YAML files, Terraform files, even Docker files. So ChatGPT is a very useful tool and widely used in IT market nowadays, because people can be lazy sometimes. They are not going to create a folder for themselves. So it is very easy to use ChatGPT because it is a user interface is very simple, and the ChatGPT acts like a assistant, and it is always giving you everything you need. Of course, you need to be more explicit when you're defining something in the command prompt, but it is always showing you some result. Sometimes it's going to be more ambiguity, but you should be writing exactly what you want from it. So ChatGPT usage is, it is text-based, as I told you. For example, in Apple, we have Siri, right? So Siri is a voice-based. For example, you are speaking something and you are waiting some response from the in a cohort way. So in the ChatGPT, it's not going to tell you something. You should be seeing the result from it is, a command prompt and using its user interfaces. So you can be, writing there even math problems, even some directions, even, some recommendation. For example, if you type what is the best movie that has been taken the most rating from IMDb, it's going to show you the maybe the 10 films. So it is going to translate your language as well. For example, you can be writing any language there and it's going to show you the result, show you the answer in every language. For example, you can be typing your needs in German. So it's going to give you an answer in German. So summarization, after you have get the result from it, it's going to show you the steps to apply that solution or output. For example, you wanted to write like Docker file, and at the end of Docker file, it's going to show you the steps. Like, okay, this is going to be like this one. For example, from this base image, that means you are going to use that image. Okay, so it also gives you very good insight. For example, people sometimes don't remember the content itself or even some the code blocks, and it's going to show you exactly how is it written as a best practice. Okay, so what can be the ChatGPT advantage? We can be saying several things. Of course, there are some pros and cons, but today we are going to mainly focus on the pros. Yeah, as a best practice, it's going to show you the human readable text, and it is very cost effective. We are going to see that there are currently 3 types of ChatGPT in use. Of course, there are some paid version like ChatGPT 4. You should be, paying some money for it to get, result. And it has very large vocabulary, and it is very speedy. So it could be, very easy for us. Even, some juniors could be using it very effective way. So it is very flexible. For example, their developers always introducing newly technology, libraries, dependencies, so on. Of course, we are going to see this ChatGPT as our assistant, but we cannot read everything from it. We should be, use it as a, some helper, but we should be checking everything from its output. For example, if we are not specifically defined what we want from it, it's going to give us the best practices, or there's some logic behind it in the backstage. So it's going to give you a prompt according to its logic. Okay. So how to get ChatGPT? You should be, create an account on the OpenAI website. So it's going to show you a prompt, which I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes. So after that, you are going to see the screen on there, and you can be, writing there according to your needs. So with using ChatGPT, you can be, even building your application. For example, you have a code block written in Java. So you want to build it like using some Maven tools or something. And with using ChatGPT, you can be writing some commands, or maybe you don't remember what that commands mean, like Maven clean package. So it's going to even tell you that this command is working in a this context, and it's going to show you the output of this. Okay, so there are some, as I told you, there are some paid versions, and it's going to show you like the visual imagination. It's called Del I. I will be showing it in a short minute. So as for the developers, they are using ChatGPT to even some troubleshooting, some debugging purposes. Okay, ChatGPT doesn't allow you to upload any file into it, but if you are copying and pasting the content of your code, it's going to, seek the debugging purposes from top to down, and there it's going to show you which part is not properly working. Okay, so I think we are done with the slides. We can be, moving on. Okay, let me share you this one. So this is the main, this is the main web page of ChatGPT. And when you click on try ChatGPT, it's going to show you like this kind of user interface. So you can be writing everything up here, and your, history will be kept here in 30 days. So after that, this is a very, very new news. So ChatGPT is available for Apple Store. You can be downloading it into your iPhone, and you can be using it. And also, apart from ChatGPT, we have Google Bard, which is, trying to be keeping up with the ChatGPT. Before just going into this workshop, I just tried both of them, and they are always, giving the similar results, but ChatGPT is a little bit faster than it. Okay, so if you don't have any question, maybe we can be moving on to our demonstration here. Okay, so for example, you are a developer and you want to create a simple file. So even you can be, writing there directly as an imperative model, and you can be, wanting exactly the result if you want. So maybe as a DevOps engineer, you have forgotten how to create, Kubernetes pod. So if you type it here exactly like this one, what is the YAML file for creating a pod? Okay, that I think I have typo here. So you see, guys, it's going to show you exactly how it's written in YAML format. And you can be, wanting your result in any format, because it supports lots of format up here. So let's begin with the Terraform. In Terraform, we are using Terraform as a provisioning our resources, like creating some, resources in Google, Azure, and AWS. So let me, just make it great for you. And as I told you, it is very smart tool, and it understands everything you have written there. So for example, let's write Terraform file to create EC2 instance on AWS. So it's going to give you a main TF file as a best practice, and you should be, checking every line of codes. Okay. So after it finishes, I will be explaining something. Just let's give it a couple of seconds. So you see, guys, we have seen the, solution step by step. And the first, it gives us a, simple main TF file, but it's not because however it's smart, it's not going to know your secret credentials. Okay, so you should be keeping your secret credentials out of this kind of code blocks. So as a best practice, it's going to give you the simple main TF file, and here it is explaining to you how to follow the steps to create your resources in Terraform. As in its documentation, it's exactly as it is. For example, you should be checking every line of code, and there is no AMI like AMI 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and maybe you can be wanted a little bit different type of EC2 as well. So be aware of it. Please check every line of codes, and if you are okay with that, you can be just running some the basic command in Terraform, like Terraform init, Terraform apply, or Terraform plan, etc. So here also it's going to give you an example, and for example, you want to change some code block up here, be prepared for this one. So after that Terraform, maybe we can be wanting to deploy or create a Docker image. So we can be just creating a Docker image with using some one line tool, one line command, like create a Docker file from Ubuntu image. You see, it didn't only just create a Docker file, it also showed you that how to create your image. For example, in the Docker we have Docker build -t as a tag and image name, and after that we are not forgetting the dot, right? So here it's going to be exactly the best practice in the IT market, like from work directory, run, copy, and after that it's going to show you what command you should be running to create a Docker file. So here in the example or explanation session, it's going to give you specifically what you should follow as a steps. Okay, so after that one, after using this one, you can be creating your Docker file however you want, especially for example, your application needs some extra features and some extra library, you can be defining it here, which we are going to show you in our task session. So don't forget to check every line of code here, okay? Because sometimes the ChatGPT doesn't have your secret credentials or the specifications of your needs. So you should be very well aware of it. So let's try to create this file with using Google Bot. Okay, I just copied and pasted there, and you see it's not going to okay, yeah. Sometimes, as I told you, it's going to sometimes it's going to show you the same result, and sometimes it's going to show you exactly like this prompt. That's not something I'm able to do yet, because these things are always evolving and developing itself. So we can be skipping that part. This is the technically main difference between it. So ChatGPT is very widely used and very common in the IT market. So be aware of how to use it, and don't forget to check every line of code. As a double check, you can be using also Google Bot, but I highly recommend you to use ChatGPT for that reasons. Okay. So after that, maybe we can be writing some Ansible playbooks so that we can be modifying our infrastructure, right? So let's write a simple playbook that installs Apache server on our nodes. That's right, a playbook to install Apache server to our nodes. Okay, this is making sense, right? So in every, there are lots of very variety types of, code blocks and file extension in DevOps. So it only, show you the best practice as a, playbook. So in Ansible, we have playbooks in YAML format, and the syntax is going exactly like this. So, but be prepared for this one. You should be, declaring specifically your nodes. For example, if you are running some Ubuntu nodes, you should be, typing there, just create a playbook according to Ubuntu servers. Okay. So after Ansible, maybe we can be, writing. You see here, and it's going to show you how it goes and how the execution command line should be written there. Okay. So maybe we can be using some deployment file as a, in Kubernetes right there. Yeah, for example, sometimes I'm, writing some typos intentionally here. So it's always, checking something, and it's according to its logic, it, the appends something into it, and it show me the exactly result that I want. Okay. So here, in deployment, we are using YAML file in Kubernetes. Of course, we can be, just creating our deployment with using some, CLI commands. But here, you see, these are the best practice. You can be, just copying this code to paste something somewhere, and you can be, keeping it for the reason that in the use of in the future. So here in the example, it's going to, tell you exactly what every single line means up here. At the end of it, it's going to show you the command prompt and the execution command like here. Do you have any questions so far? I'm, following the chat as well. Okay, so last demonstration for you guys. Let's create a simple, Java application, and maybe we can be, writing a Jenkins file for it. Create a Java. Let's see. Yeah, of course, guys. Sometimes I'm, giving some ambiguity command line here, and it's going to show me the result. Okay, I'm following. Yes, awesome. I can be pasting there. Yes, I will. Okay, so here we only, we have only, simple Java file here that, shows our, just a simple line of command. And in the second session, it's going to show us how to run this code block. So let's create a Jenkins file for this one. Okay. Pay attention here. I'm using the leverage from the things that have been written above. Okay. Great. Yeah, here. So typo is not important, but be prepared and be careful about what's written there. So these are, this is technically the simple Jenkins file, right? It's going to show us the stages, and this was our code block, as an, a simple application. So it will go like this, okay? So for example, if you want to create something in Terraform, you can be, just typing some specifically what you want from it. Okay, I'm checking the questions. Yes, offer me, I will. Okay. So if you don't have any questions so far, maybe we can be proceeding our task, which is given one of our alumni during his interview process. Let me open my VS Code up here. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is the task, and in this task, our alumni have been asked to create an application, and it's going to send a file to S3 bucket. So for that reason, you should be, having an S3 bucket and AWS account and some credentials, right? So you are free to choose any following programming language like Python, Java, Node.js. In here, we are going to use Python. And there's some, limitation for our, files. It's going to be deleted after 24 hours. So content is not important, but sometimes companies are, just they want to see something that you are creating or you are dealing with some cloud environment, okay? So the name of the bucket should be the following. You can be, given anything here. For example, in this task, you should be, maybe you can be asked to deploy this application in the Kubernetes environment, but it's okay. At first, you should be, deciding what you need from the ChatGPT, okay? So this is our task. Let me open ChatGPT up here again. Okay. So at first, I think this is going to be much better. Sorry to keep you busy, guys. I will be managing it shortly. Okay, so here, first we need to have a code block, right? So a simple application. So for that reason, we should be, asking ChatGPT to write us a code. Okay. So what is the, just think it. You can be, writing any, command prompt according to your needs. For example, okay. So I'm starting. You can be just following it as well. Write, Python script that creates a file and stores it into S3 bucket. Okay, the content is not important. And add let's see how it's going to write as a code block. Okay. So you see here, it's written a code block, but you see we are not defining our credentials up here. So this should be, written in explicitly, but as a demonstration, I will be, showing this one to you, but I'm not going to, expose my credentials. I will be doing it in somewhere. So I'm just copying this code. Okay. So I'm just creating a new folder here. Let's give it my name ChatGPT. By the way, we okay, we are not obliged to get any, successful result at the end of this task. Okay. So if we are getting any error, that's okay. So let's create this one like script.py. Okay. And paste what you have, what's written in the ChatGPT. So here we can, declare our credentials here, but as a best practice, we are not doing this one, right? So after this one, in the task, we should be, writing a Docker file, right? Okay, let me make it bigger for you. Okay, we should be, creating a S3 bucket with using Terraform file, which we are going to do it later. So in this code block, we should be, creating our Docker image, right? So let's create a Docker image for this one. And in the Docker image, we should be, declaring everything, every specification that we need from the ChatGPT, okay? So according to task, I can be, writing, create a Docker file for the script about configure the container. Because in this application, we are going to run this one into a container, right? So just, okay, container. So that, okay, script will be run in every 5 minutes. So it's going to create a Docker file in this Docker file. So this script.py, it's going to write, it's going to be working in every 5 minutes, and it's going to send. Okay, yeah, here we can be, adding this one into our Docker file. Okay, let's start it, finish. And in this Docker file, we can be even, creating a cron job, right? So this is technically what it is, the cron job. So let's wait and give him a couple of seconds so that it's going to write a cron job into Docker file. You see, we have just, we just saw it showed us how to create a Docker file from the image that we have, declared in the above. So let's copy this code and create a Docker file in our folder. And let's paste it there. Okay. So after this one, maybe we can be creating our resources with using Terraform file. So I can be asking to ChatGPT to create a main.tf file, or, the maybe cloud formation for us to create our resources in the cloud environment. Okay. So here, create a Terraform file that will create.
Robin, there is a typo on Terraform.
Okay, so sorry. Create S3 bucket in the AWS with a life cycle. In the task, we are expected to create that, application that is going to delete every file after 24 hours, right? life cycle policy of 24 hours. Okay. Maybe even we can be, wanting them to create an instance for us and launch T2 micro. And even we can be, declaring the security group, right? So in security group, maybe we can be opening the SSH port or something like that. So in the Docker file, we can be, declaring what we want from the ChatGPT in the above code. So in the main TF file, we can be, asking them, even creating some IAM roles, okay? So, okay. Wait. Okay, Docker and run the container inside the instance and open port 22. Let's give him a couple of seconds so that it can generate result. You see, it firstly created a file that we want, and after that, it showed us how to follow the steps to create our resources. Okay, so here in the lifecycle policy, it's going to put our file in the Glacier. There are some storage classes in the AWS, right? But we don't want to be using Glacier because sometimes it may cost us a little bit more. So we want our files to be deleted after 24 hours. Okay, so let's modify our main TF file. Instead of putting our file into Glacier, make our files to be deleted after 24 hours. So you see, guys, I'm declaring specifically what I want from the ChatGPT. Okay. So you see here in the file above, it showed me the lifecycle policy like Glacier. But here, the expression, it's going to be deleted. Our files will be deleted after 24 hours. Okay. So since we have already covered what we want from the ChatGPT, let's copy this code and create a main TF file, simple main TF file. Let's paste everything we have created there. So you see in our main TF file, we should be providing AMI because there is no AMI in the AWS like this one, and our key name because ChatGPT doesn't know what the key pair that you using, and here be careful about this one. Sometimes it's as a user data, it's going to use some Ubuntu images, and if you want to run DNF commands in here, it's not going to work, right? So be careful about it, and in the AMI session, you should be choosing the correct AMI like Ubuntu. In the security group, we have we want ChatGPT to open 22 port as a SSH, and we didn't declare the egress port. So as a default, it's going to expose all of our inside traffic into the outer world, right? Okay, so here, if I type my credentials into it, it's not going to be best practice, right? So for that reason, I will be, explaining or, declaring my secret credentials in somewhere, or in the Terraform, we are using some tf-vars file, right? Okay, so here I will be, writing my credentials. Maybe I can, stopping the, just hold on. I'm checking something. Okay, guys. So in the script, I'm asked to provide my access key right here, and my secret key here, and my region. So if I, write there correctly, it's going to be working, right? So in the main TF file, I should be, providing my correct AMI, my example of, my key pair here. And sometimes it's not going to work because the ChatGPT doesn't know your default VPC ID, okay? So it's going to be like this. Let me fill this part. I'm sorry, guys, I don't want to expose my, secret credentials here. So technically what I'm doing is that in the, CLI command, AWS configure, right? Okay. Just hold on. It's so in the AMI session, I should be, taking the correct AMI from AWS, right? So let me get back to AWS console so that I can be picking up the correct AMI. So EC2's here. Launch instance. Okay, it's going to be Ubuntu AMI, right? Because in the ChatGPT, in the main file, in the main TF file, the ChatGPT show me the Ubuntu. Okay. So it's done. So this is the AMI of, Ubuntu image in the AWS console, and this is my key pair, and the rest will be going to stay exactly as it is. Okay. So in the script PY, I have just provided my AWS credentials. Okay. So from this point on, maybe we can be, getting error, but it's okay because it show us insight how to create our resources. For this point on, we are going to check only the, syntax. Okay. So if I type, let's get back to inside this one, ChatGPT first inside the folder. I'm seeing this kind of, file that we have created from using, just using ChatGPT here. So let's start with command. So in here, we are just, initializing the Terraform so that we can be maybe creating our resources. Sometimes before, just giving this lecture, I have tried a couple of times to create my resources with using the same, application. So sometimes I get an error, and sometimes it works flawlessly. So in the, from this point on, we are nothing to do with ChatGPT, right? Because we have acquired exactly what we want. Okay, let's wait a couple of seconds. Okay, from this point on, let's type Terraform plan so that it's going to show us which resources will be created. So for ChatGPT wise, that was the exactly that we want to provide, as a, example. Okay. Yeah. In this session, this line, yeah, sometimes you are going to get error, and this is all for troubleshooting. Okay. So here, let's take it from our previous one. It's going to be like this. Okay. So here in this main TF file, we haven't line like that. So in ChatGPT, it's going to give us every time the different code block. So for that reason, I was always saying that please check every single line of code. Okay. So I can be, just copying this one to paste it there so that maybe it work. Let's try it one more time. But if it is not working, it's okay as well. Okay. So you should be, knowing where to look at. Okay. So we should be, checking the line of this one, my bucket ID. For example, in my AWS account, if I have this one, it's going to show me the, exactly the same error. Okay. Okay, let's copy it from here. Let's try it one more time. Okay, it worked, right? So as a plan, it's going to add 4 of my resources. And if I type Terraform apply, it's going to create my resources in the AWS, right? So what was the S3 bucket name? Okay. So you see, they are all in the creating state. So that means our task has been solved, okay? Without having any problem. But if we have any problem, it's okay. We can be, just asking it directly to ChatGPT, or we can be, using some troubleshooting purposes. So let's get back to AWS console. So you see, I have only created 4 resources that has been declared in the main TF file. Okay, let's check from AWS console. For example, I have created an instance, right? So if I get back here, so this is my instance that has been created a couple of minutes ago. See, let's get back to S3 bucket. And my S3 bucket contains my name. Let's see. You see, I just created my S3 bucket as well. So guys, do you have any questions so far? I think we have covered, and I don't want to exceed the time limit for today. Okay, if you have any question, please let me know so that I can answer it. So this is, this workshop is mainly targeting to how to create or how to use ChatGPT for our daily task. For example, if you are asked to create some resources in even your on-prem server, you can be using ChatGPT because it's going to give you the best practices with using on-prem environment as well. But I think in the coming days, maybe we can be having this workshop as a continuous lesson. So what we have tried to do today is to write or create some files from using ChatGPT, and we have succeeded, right? So in the task, we have created our S3 bucket, we have created our EC2 instance, and we have created our Docker file, and even a simple code block like hello world py, right? So do you have any questions? I'm here to answer it. Or if you don't have, maybe we can be dispersing without incident.